Hello and welcome to the Wilderness of Creativity, a platform for creatives to share their stories of survival. This isn't a show about going viral, optimizing your output, or trending your way to success. With the help of my guests, we explore what it actually means to take the road less travelled. The uncertainty, the messiness, the vulnerability, and the courage to move away from the expectations that perhaps no longer seem fit for purpose. Creativity shows up in everything that we do. It's how we form and sustain our friendships and intimate relationships. It's how we work and communicate, how we parent, love, and our deepest desires. If you are quietly questioning the path that you're on or feel a little lost in the wilderness, welcome. You can subscribe to the podcast on your favourite platform, and you can also find us over on YouTube and Substack. Right, let's get to the episode. Hello and welcome to the Wilderness of Creativity. Can I just start by saying a huge thank you? Thank you for taking the time to press play and join me in the wilderness. I know you're busy, I know you've got 101 things to do, but I do appreciate you being here with me. I want to talk about something that sounds really simple. I'm talking about time. This episode is not about shaming or blaming anyone. We're all doing the best we can with the lives that we're actually living. As Live Happy coach Beth Wilson talks about so beautifully in her episode, nobody's really talking about the life juggle. I will pop a link in the show notes if you fancy listening to Beth's episode. Now, I'm coming at this conversation from a place of privilege. I have support, I have choice, I have access to all sorts of things that so many people don't. So this episode is not about drawing lines between us. It's about bringing you into the conversation with me and about coming to it with curiosity so that more of our lived realities are included. This episode was inspired by a quote, a reel, and a very real 24 hours that allowed today's idea to surface. I'd like you to cast your mind back to 2022. Molly May Hague famously said, "We all have the same 24 hours as Beyonce." Now, at the time, I did not have this podcast, so I did what a lot of us did. I clocked it, raised an eyebrow, and carried on with my life. In 2022, I had just started a new job after covering maternity leave for a year, and I was navigating full-time work alongside being a mum. My bandwidth was limited, and I was also really struggling with poor mental health at the time. Molly May, for context, is a hugely successful entrepreneur. She's an influencer, former creative director of Pretty Little Thing. Since Love Island, in 2019, I think, she has built an incredible personal brand. She's got businesses, brand deals, an Amazon Prime documentary series. We live very different lives. She's worked hard. She's earned her success. So let me be clear, this isn't about tearing her down. It's about the quote itself. And when we say we all have the same 24 hours, my question is, who are we erasing from that sentence? It's funny because last week I reached out to Amber J. If you haven't checked out her socials, please go over to the Gutsy CEO. She posted a reel that went viral last week, calling out a very similar narrative. You know, the whole wake up earlier, be more disciplined, yada, 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 that we hear so often. And she basically said to Stephen Bartlett, because it was in response to one of his recent episodes, "Babe, you don't wipe bottoms." Amber is not lazy. She's not inconsistent. She had a baby last year. She is a mum of 2. She closed a membership. She sold out a mastermind. And she won Business Coach of the Year. I mean, Amber is smashing it. But she's doing it in real life. We can't all expect everybody to achieve the same amount in those 24 hours when so many of us are in that in-between space. Harriet Fisher, fired on Friday, famous by Monday. A little more than 24 hours, sure. But she's now sitting at 80,000 followers. She took a risk. Different timing, different season, different constraints. You know the saying, what a difference a day makes. But if she looks back now to how her 24 hours looked to how it looks now, I mean, she's just been to the Bridgerton premiere. I mean, she's absolutely living her best life. I actually reached out to both of these incredible women. Harriet encouraged me to keep going with the podcast, which was absolutely gorgeous. And Amber messaged me back saying that she was up for coming on the podcast next month. I might not be Stephen Bartlett, but I am Lucy Colgan, host of The Wilderness of Creativity. Get in touch if you want to be on the show. So today's episode sits in that space between those two moments. A quote that became cultural shorthand and a reel that cracked this conversation wide open. A few questions. Do we really all have the same 24 hours? Who are you listening to when it comes to advice about your time? And do they actually live a life that looks anything like yours? And what does that belief of the 24-hour clock do to our creativity, our energy, and our expectations? Because I don't know about you, but I'm fairly certain I don't have the same 24 hours as Beyonce. And even if I technically do, who are those hours actually available for? I asked a few friends about the 24-hour myth, and the answer was almost universal. The busier we are, the shorter the day feels. And the older we get, the faster time seems to move. Now, my dad said, when he gets 21, the time will fly. And he wasn't wrong. Yesterday, I was up at 6 o'clock. Downstairs, cup of tea, laptop open, editing by 6:30. Then, school runs, snacks, bags, uniforms, logistics. Another friend said, someone somewhere right now is eating a banana, giving birth, having a shower, having an argument. I replied saying, I just hope that person isn't doing all of those things at once. Amy Blakeman puts it perfectly when she says, from a cyclical perspective, do we even have the energy or desire to maximise all 24 hours? Because life is happening everywhere, all at once, at wildly different intensities. And yet we're all meant to measure ourselves against the same clock. And I said it before, I'm one of the lucky ones. And here's the wild part. The 24-hour day is completely made up. Over 3,000 years ago, Mesopotamians created the concept. 60 minutes, 60 seconds. Convenient. But somewhere along the way, that structure has turned into a moral measuring stick. If you're not producing enough, earning enough, creating enough, the assumption is you're the problem, not the system. And here's what I'm learning. And it feels really important as I start to move away from working full-time and trying to find that life-work balance. My creativity doesn't run on time. It runs on energy. So when I'm feeling burnt out, frustrated, overextended, my creative flow just shuts down. I used to take that personally, but it's biology. My creative energy is cyclical. Some days I'm firing on all cylinders. Other days my creativity is quiet, it's more reflective. Some seasons are about output and others are simply about survival. And I'm not even talking about the backstory to all of this. Forcing our creativity into a rigid 24-hour productivity model is how people burn out. So instead of asking, how can I fit more in? Why don't we ask, what actually deserves my energy right now? So here's what I'd love you to do this week, if you've got time. For one day, just one, jot down how your time actually goes. Not to judge it, but just to witness it. Maybe just keep some notes somewhere by the side of your bed. Where does your energy rise? What moments feel nourishing even if they look completely unproductive to the outside eye? And then the second thing is maybe just pay attention to who you're taking advice from. Because maybe their life, their rules don't apply to you and your situation. Now listen, before I go, I just want to give you a little insight of what we've got coming up. Next week, we have an episode with Kendall Marie Platt, where we talk about self-discovery through the creative and restorative practice of horticultural therapy. I also recently recorded an episode with psychotherapist Nadine Pittam for a very, very powerful conversation about intimacy, energy, and creativity. Just a little heads up that next week will be my last Substack for a little while. I'm taking a break over half term as it's show week, so most of my time and energy will be fully focused on getting to the end of that week in one piece. Wish me luck. So, if today all you did was survive, show up or rest, it all counts. And your creativity is still there, even if it feels quiet right now. Thank you for joining me in the wilderness today, and until next time, stay wild.